Hi guys, I'm Travis Winter from Atlas Games, and this is my partner at work.
I'm Jess Banks. I use she, her pronouns. And we're here to tell you guys a little bit about getting your games in front of a publisher. Atlas is
We're a small publisher.
Mid-range, yeah, kind of publisher. That we've been around since the early 90s. When the founder, John Nephew, started publishing things in Dragon Magazine and got jumped up ideas and bought a couple of properties from places like Lion Rampant and things like that. We're probably best known for games like Gloom, which is the amazing, grouchy, transparent card game.
Thank you, Keith Baker.
Thank you, Keith. And as well as some really classic and beloved RPG properties like Ars Magica and Unknown Armies and Over the Edge and things like that that have really made a mark in that field for a long time.
All right, so this is the question and answer. What questions do you guys have for us, or what can we help with to get your games in front of someone like us?
Can you move a little closer, Thank you.
How does someone even know what the right person is to talk to first?
Oh, that's such an awesome question. It is. The very first best place to start is the company's website. Most companies will have a page with submission guidelines. Not only is that a great place usually where we post who the sort of contact person is, but it also gives really detailed instructions about what it is we want from you when you introduce your game to us. We do not want a prototype yet, for instance, but we will want to see your rules. We'll want to see some pictures of mocked up cards. Some people feel compelled to send in a video. That's not required unless you can do it professionally looking. It's not necessarily advantageous to you, but it is becoming sort of a trend. But those little things like that about what they want, and then of course the forms you need to sign for us to even look at it, will all be found on a submissions page, and that's the first best place to go.
It also depends on where you are. Like if we're at Gen Con, obviously the rules are going to be a little bit different. There's an essay in the new white box thing that I just finished kickstarting, shipping at 1 o'clock today.
Not at noon, at 1.
And he says in there, go up to the booth, ask who you should speak with. Because when I was a part-timer at Source Comics and Games and working a booth, people would come up and talk to me and continue to tell me about their cool game. I'm a part-timer at a game store. I don't care. Now I work for Atlas. It's quite a bit different. But ask who you should speak with at the show.
Yeah. Or email in advance and ask to set up an appointment. That makes you even more supremely welcome to speak to us.
Yeah, so Jeff or Kyla, that's the two that really look at games in our area, or in our company.
Should I send my 12-hour 15th century simulation game to you guys?
Do you want it in the garbage? You had a question, sir.
Yeah. How complete should the game be before it's submitted to you?
That's a good
Should
question.
it be said done? You think it's good to go, or should it be more proto spiel? Right? We're all trying to improve our game.
That is a hard question to truly answer because every company is probably going to be slightly different. My experience in the game industry is I've worked at a retail store as a part owner. I've worked at a retail store as a full-timer. I've worked at a retail store as a part-timer. I do shipping, marketing. I do literally everything at Atlas except designing and making games.
And writing
for real.
giant blocks of text.
So the stuff that I have seen that we play test, because when we get our submissions in, we'll do like company retreats and we go up to John's cabin in Duluth. And then we just play games for 2 days. And there have been Kickstarter games that are done, final, they've been shipped out. Guy's got 100 copies left in his garage. He wants to still get it published. We have played those. We have played stuff on mock-up cards that we have literally printed the stickers and stuck them on the edge cards. You guys remember that card game? We still have a bunch. So we make our own mock-ups. So it just kind of depends.
I would say the main thing is that your game should be extensively play tested in a lot of different places. If we receive a submission and says, I've played this a ton with my friends and they all think it's great, that tells me that you have not really opened it up for full criticism and constructiveness. Someplace like a Protospiel, or if you're Metatopia in Morristown, New Jersey in November is an excellent place to go. That one's got more of a, like I would say, like 60-40. It's role-playing games, LARPs, and story games, but there's still a significant component of all kinds of board and card and educational games that get tested there. And so taking them into those environments and getting feedback, especially at these events from other designers, is a quality of feedback you can't get from family, you can't get from friends, and it's really irreplaceable. So the first thing would be just play test the living heck out of it. Some games we get and they look very finished, but for some reason the art or the card design or whatever does not look like something that we would put out. So don't feel like you have to spend a ton of money on art and layout and things like that. The rules are the first thing we ask to see, and they should by far be the most complete thing. But we playtest stuff a lot. Kyla is the playtesting monster. At least she will when she gets in her new house.
Cursed Court came to us 2 years ago, and it will be released in about roughly 2 weeks. I don't remember. I think Andrew had GameCrafter make a copy of it. Yep. When we got that prototype, it was an actual board, 9 pictures on it that were just open license, public domain art, 36 cards, public domain art. We play tested it, sent it back to Andrew for hey, we need revisions on this. We play tested it some more. We need revisions on this. Play tested it, just in our office and amongst like Jeff would go up to the source and be like, I need 4 to 6 people to come, and he would throw it out on Twitter, set up appointments for people to come to the source and play it. And it's finally getting, it's going to hit distribution in about 2 weeks. So
we got a phenomenal artist, and Kyla, who handles a lot of the card design and stuff like that, did amazing work with the board as well to make it, when you see it, it's so gorgeous. I kind of drool a little bit. I gotta think for Art Nouveau, but it's gorgeous. And it wasn't that the original game wasn't good, and it wasn't even that the original game didn't work fine with the open source art. But that was a choice we made in terms of how to put this out there in a way, because shelf appeal is so important.
The other thing to think about is Mansions of Madness. How does that game look? Okay, so how does Settlers of Catan look? How does Gloom look? Right? 3 different companies, 3 different games. But if you look at all of Fantasy Flight's games, what do they have in common? They do have a very similar look, right? If you look at most of the Atlas Games product, we have a very similar look in maybe style, graphic layout, graphic design. So every company is going to want something different too. So, because they want it to, even though it's a different game, we want you to go, oh, that's an Atlas game, I'm going to try that. So, yeah.
Does anybody else have? Keep asking mine.
Go ahead.
So,
Then we don't look stupid.
do you
Yes.
get most of your games from people submitting them to you, or do you get most of your games from you guys going out to Protospiels or looking at the GameCrafter site or other places to
It is a big mix. We get, like when we open the submissions and say, hey, this is we want your games, send them to us, we'll get a bunch, and that's when we'll have a retreat and go play them. But at every show, at every show, the Origins, Gen Con, PAX, people come up and they're like, hey, do you have time? And it's like, Kyla, you free? Great, go. So it all depends. So.
And
but,
then,
it's you going, but even in that case, it's somebody coming up to you and saying,
yep.
It's not you guys going to the GameCrafter website or somewhere else.
I didn't even know you could go to the GameCrafter website and look.
oh no!
But remember, she's the writer.
I'm the writer, and it's in the post.
I run the Twitter, the Facebook, the blog. I ship all the games out. Like, we are not the designers.
Words. I would say though that in terms of like, in most of the case, it's people coming to us, and sometimes it's people that we have no previous relationship with that just have a cool game design. And one of the things that Atlas does that a lot of other companies don't is we will send detailed feedback to games that we do not accept. And it may be something like, this is an awesome game. It doesn't fit the Atlas profile. We are sure there is another company that would be a better home that would be able to represent this better. And then it can also be, you've got these things to work on. This is super unclear. Develop this more. We liked this part of the game. Make that more of the game. But the other thing that we sometimes do is we'll also take games from publishers that we've worked with, with designers that we've worked with before. So, for example, Jonathan Tweet is the writer of Over the Edge, and we're working on a new edition of that right now, but he also successfully kickstarted a card game about evolution called Clades. And so that is coming into us as well as something we're gonna put out there as, if anything else, just to put it in distribution channels on his behalf. So, yes.
So what type of financial arrangements do you do? Do you buy the rights outright? Do you royalty? Do you...
99% is going to be royalty. Like, as far as I know, personally, because obviously financing is not, bookkeeping is all done by John. Lunch Money is the only game that we actually own, as far as I know. So, like, every copy of Gloom.
Duration, or is it a permit? Like, what?
I literally have no idea.
Yeah.
But for the number of times John complains about having to write royalty checks quarterly, I'm gonna say that the majority of the games that we license are royalty based.
That period.
Yeah.
And I assume it's a contract of 3 to 5 years in perpetuity until one of the parties says we're done.
One of the parties. So like the designer can say, I don't think you're doing that great of a job of actually advancing this. I'm going to pull it and either self-publish or try to find another home for it. And that's legit. There's no reason
and
why
you do the manufacturing and then pay the royalty?
We do not. We do the, we don't make the things.
But we hire the guys
We hire the people that make the things, and we make sure they don't mess up
But the game
things.
designer doesn't make it.
Correct.
There is one we're working on right now that the designer kickstarted it, and we're backlogged. We don't have the people to actually produce it, so he's getting a higher royalty rate than traditional because he's also the graphic designer now. He's going to be taking care of everything for that game.
Is that you?
And then, Yukon Salon, and then we're just going to release it. So rather than Kyla or Jeff doing the design work to get it to make it look like an Atlas game, they're letting him do it, and they're going to give him a higher royalty rate.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
We've got time for about one more question.
Okay. Come on, ask. Yes.
So it was kind of touched on earlier. My question is about designing games specifically for a publisher and what to do if, like you kind of said, you end up turning it away.
Right.
Would you kind of encourage designers to do that, or just kind of design a game that they enjoy and then pitch it to as many publishers as possible?
That's what I would recommend right there.
100%.
Because if you're designing it just for me and I don't like it, that's going to take the wind out of your sails. If you design something you love, you're going to love it.
But there is a really good rationale for making a list of like your top 3 or 4 publishers that you think would be a good fit, that you'd like to see represent your game, that you like, how they've done their stuff in the past, and you can ask around. It's a tiny community to see if artists and designers are being treated well.
And a lot of times, like, Mayfair may have you show up and say, here, I want to show you this game. They try it and they're like, hey, that's not a fit for us. But at Origins, I had 3 other companies bring people over with their game design and say, this is an Atlas game. Try it out, and see what you think, kind of thing. So when I go to a trade show or like Gen Con and Origins, you will see me hug 1 billion people. And not just
I
ran.
get as many hugs, but it has nothing to do with professional.
Not random people. They're all the different companies. We all know each other. Okay. So when we see something that's like a perfect fit, we'll walk them over.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be unhappy. I want you to make some games. Whether I make it, I publish it or not, I don't care.
If I want to play it,
I want to get those games out there, especially if it's fun. So I will take you to someone else. Now, I'm not going to be the one you're going to. If you said, hey, Trav, I need a box shipped, I'm your guy. But Jeff and Kyla will say, hey, go try these guys. So, and we're here. We do have to leave kind of late on Saturday. We can't be here Sunday. Don't come up and ask your questions. We'll help.
Yes.
So,
Please do.
Thanks.
awesome.